starting in
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hi, this is Veronica.
And I'm Studio Steve.
We are the Pod Sound School.
And this is PodBitz. PodBitz is a quick and easy way to digest the latest news and events in podcasting.
Learn about actionable tips to podcast like a beast.
Listen to our podcast recommendations.
And be in the know with what is up in the PSS community.
And we do it all live.
While the clock is ticking.
Unedited.
And raw.
So get those ears ready.
Crank those speakers up.
And let's dive in. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of PodBitz.
Hello, mis amores.
PodBitz is a bonus episode of the Pod Sound School podcast that we do every week live on Twitter and now on YouTube at 12 p.m. Mountain Standard Time.
We'll post this episode on our podcast later today, and we also post the video on our Facebook page, Pod Sound School, for replay.
Mm-hmm.
The video of this live.
The video of this live, yep.
Mm-hmm.
And we like to start this PodBitz off with talking about what's going on in the PSS community.
Mm-hmm.
So we're really excited about this weekend is the Independent Podcast Virtual Conference hosted by Super Joe Pardo. And we were invited to speak along with a bunch of really cool speakers. And I'm going to be speaking on how to craft a YouTube strategy for your podcast that works.
And I will be speaking on the benefits of doing market research and what are some of the tools I use to do market research for my clients.
Yeah, and it's a virtual event. It's free. Just look at the link. We'll leave the link in this episode's description and join the Facebook group. It's the Independent Podcast Virtual Conference.
Mm-hmm. So the conference is Saturday and Sunday.
Saturday and Sunday.
And
yep.
I will be speaking on Sunday, and Stephen will be speaking on Saturday.
Yes, it's going to be really fun. So make sure you stop by for that.
We want to give a shout out to one of our members, of our Facebook group, Podcasting for Buses, Cher Kretz. She's a new member and she's in lockdown like the majority of us. And she's taking this time to create her own podcast. And she posted a video the other day on our Facebook group, and it was the cutest thing. She's very excited and she just jumped right in to start her podcast.
Really cool. And with that being said, if you haven't come over and checked out our Facebook group yet, you should. It's Podcasting for Bosses. You can find it by going to podsoundschool.com/community.
Yeah, we do all sorts of crazy things over there. We like people with our humor and odd videos
yes.
of our bodies dragging around.
Mm-hmm, yes.
The floor.
Speaking of being on lockdown, how our daughter is using her free time during lockdown is creating a podcast. Finally.
Yeah,
we talked her
finally.
into it. With one of her school friends, they recorded their first episode using Squadcast remotely. And and I'm also teaching her how to use Descript to edit her podcast episodes. So that's pretty fun.
Yeah, so her podcast, the name is Two Tiny Latinas in a Big Wide World, coming at you soon. Yeah. Oh boy.
And then I think what I'm most excited about this week is on April 3rd, next week, registration for our podcast course opens up.
Yeah, Smart and Sexy Podcast Launch.
Yes.
It's going to be our first
online course.
And we're super excited. We are ready and we are pumped and we cannot wait to launch it.
And it's unlike other podcast courses. Our course is going to not only teach you all the technical and administrative stuff, which is why it's smart, but then it also teaches you the sexy side, which is what is most uniquely you, and how to have a really strong brand and a really strong social media presence. And it's just a very awesome course that's going to hold you accountable. And come check it out. We'll leave the link in this description.
Awesome.
And why don't we move on to
This Week in Podcasting.
Okay, this week in podcasting, we have Anchor has made improvements to the remote recording version of its app, which is really cool, or the remote recording feature of its app. And we're going to be trying that out, and it has improved features, and we're going to be making a video about that.
I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's already a pretty cool thing, and so I'm really interested to see what these improvements that they made are. Also, Google Podcasts redesigned its app recently, and now it's separated into 3 different tabs, which is cool. There's a home tab, an explore tab, and an activity tab. And Google is also making the app available for iOS users, which I'm very excited about. I tried to download it this morning because it's supposed to be available, and I couldn't find it in there, but it's supposed to be available today, the Google Podcast apps. So it's really cool with these 3 different tabs. On the Home tab, you're able to see the podcast that you've subscribed to. But then you can also, if you click on an episode, you can see what the topics are covered or who's involved in that. And then you can then you can create a Google search from that as well to learn more on that topic.
I can tell you that's going to be my favorite feature, because sometimes when I'm listening to a podcast, I'm very curious about the host or the person that is being interviewed, and just to be able to click on the link and go directly to Google instead of like getting in and out of the app is very convenient and a very cool feature. I can't wait to
I'm really
start
excited about
using
that
it.
too.
And I have a good one for you too, and I don't know why I'm doing this dance.
I like it.
There's a cool service to create landing pages we just discovered. It's Kyrie. And Kyrie today announced new podcast landing pages for podcasters to connect with their listeners. Podcasters who sign up for Kyrie can create a landing page for their podcast under 30 seconds. With Kyrie landing page, both podcasters and listeners can connect through 3 ways: direct messages, mailing list, and discussions. When a listener sends in a direct message, the podcaster is notified automatically over email and can respond via the podcaster's dashboard. When the podcaster releases a new episode, the episode is transcribed and a discussion is automatically created. How cool is this? All listeners who have interacted with the landing page are added to the podcast mailing list.
That's really cool.
That is really cool. And we've been like telling our podcasts to get going with email lists. That is so important. And beginning today until the end of March, you can get it for free. So go and create an account before you have to pay for it. And we're going to do it.
We're going to do it and try it out.
We're going to experiment with all this cool things.
It's really cool that what Veronica mentioned, because a lot of times to get your email list going, you need to have a freebie or a lead magnet. And here it's not that. It's just you can send people to your podcast, and right there they have a way to contact you.
Yeah, and the transcription. Like,
and it transcribes
how cool
your episodes.
Is that?
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm very excited to check it out, and we have a lot of fun new toys to play with this week. There's been some other fun apps and things that have been coming out that I was introduced to this week. One is called EchoWave.io. And EchoWave is like Wave and Headliner, but you do get 2 free audiograms a month. So it makes audiograms. You just upload an episode or a little teaser of your episode and a picture, and it makes your audiogram for you. The first 2 are free. And then it's $9.99 a month after that.
There's not a reason to not start promoting your podcast episodes.
Yeah, there's no reason. And why don't we move on to
This Week in Your Queue.
Okay, This Week in Your Queue. Take it away, Veronica.
Yeah, so I'm very excited about my podcast recommendation. And I usually like to recommend my indie podcasts. But today, I'm going to go with a big one. And I'm a fan of Brene Brown. And she's the author of 2 of my favorite books, The Gift of Imperfections and Dare to Lead. She launched her podcast, Unlocking Us, last week. And friends, this podcast you don't want to miss. What I like about Brene is that she's honest and she's real about her struggles and most vulnerable moments, and she does it in her podcast too. And it's a conversational interview kind of podcast. And on one of the episodes, she had Glennon Doyle. And right after that interview, I went and bought Glennon's book. So she's just amazing. Don't miss out on her podcast.
And for my pick this week is the But Why, a podcast for curious kids. That's the title of the podcast. It's a kids and family podcast, and it's really great.
It sounded like butt wipe.
No, not butt wipe, but why. It's really cool for if you're stuck at home with your kids. Podcasting can be a great way to educate them and entertain them. And it had a recent episode called Coronavirus for Kids and the Science of Soap. Also had another one from homeschooling and remote working.
Oh, how cool.
Yes, it's a interesting podcast. You can check that out. And
not butt wipe.
Not butt wipe, but why.
It would be a very niche podcast.
There's probably a butt wipe podcast, and I should probably start
to
one
wipe your
because I am a. Oh,
Tip of the week.
why don't we move on to the tip of the week? The tip of the week in the theme of being on lockdown.
I'm kind of glad you got interrupted.
I know, because it usually happens to you.
No, because your conversation was going
Nowhere. Oh, it was going
nowhere.
bad places. Oh, no. Well, anyway, in the theme of lockdown, I think remote recording is so cool, and that's an aspect of podcasting that's so great. We're going to be doing videos about all different ways you can remote record. And so I just wanted to kind of give you some advice and maybe some food for thought about different ways that you can remote record with your podcast if you're not already, or if you haven't started a podcast. Now's the perfect time to do so and stay connected and maybe combat those blues that happen when we have cabin fever and things like that. And so just some tips and advice to get good sound when you're remote recording. First, you can use an app like Anchor, and that we mentioned they have made improvements. You can have up to 4 people in one conversation, and that's free, which is really cool. Then if you want to get higher audio quality than that, you can get into Squadcast and Zencaster. Zoom would probably even be higher quality than the Anchor app. But you'd want people to be using microphones. So if they can use microphones in their computers, that's very ideal. But if not, at very least, just ask everybody who's involved in the conversation to be in a quiet room to avoid additional background noise.
Yeah, make sure you enable the do not disturb to avoid phone calls or notifications from your phone or computer. It has happened to me. It's very annoying.
Yeah, and then make sure before you get going or beforehand that everybody has a good Wi-Fi connection. And also outline your episodes. It'll make whoever's editing love you so much. And close all your other apps before using any apps that you're going to be using remotely. And that is our tip of the week. Get out there and do some remote recording.
Yeah.
And if you haven't rated our podcast yet, go ahead and do that at ratethispodcast.com/PodSoundSchool.
And if you're interested to take your podcast up a notch and go access our premium content at podsoundschool.com/premium, all links to the resources and podcasts we mentioned on this episode are included in the description of the episode. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at PodSoundSchool and join our Facebook community at podsoundschool.com/community.
And if you want to get on the wait list for our course, go to podcastingsmart.com. And that way you can reserve your spot for the Smart and Sexy podcast launch.
Yeah, we're going to podcast smart and sexy.
And we'll see you next time, guys.
Happy casting!
Sometimes all a school needs is a little facelifting. Laboratories functionally designed for the student's use. The new miracle of modern